Hi, welcome back to another project. I say welcome back because if you were with us last time, you saw us begin this project. We drew bed lines and some nice flowing curve patterns. We removed the unwanted grass, and then we came in with some colorful varieties that are going to prove to be low maintenance. Well, now a continuation today. We're going to work toward the street to add street plantings and curb appeal. Some of the goals that we will accomplish on today's Designer's Landscape. Our first line is really going to include out here at the mailbox. We've started really prepping and cleaning it out. We're going to include the fire hydrant too. We'll come in with a tree and really add some height over there. I really wanted to kind of get the guys started over in here. A lot of hand work, no doubt about it. The sod cutter will help save us time, but I don't know if you recall even from last time, the thatch here is so thick. I mean, it's so thick that actually the sod cutter blade barely went through it. Can you see this curve that I've rounded off back here with the tree to try to add some interest to the sidewalk? Well, I want to kind of continue that thought process all the way to the street. And so I'll take this corner and round it off with another nice smooth curve that somewhat, again, is a continuation of this line. You see that? We take the squares out of mowing. We add a nice smooth radius, and I think when we get this cleaned out and planted with just some low plants, now again, we've got a complementary curve going on here. Friends, we're going to use that term quite a bit today, complementary. If I remember right, I think that's what Eve might have been to Adam, so that would be an asset. It would be a helper. It would be something that would attribute to and complement positively. That bed is going to complement what we've done up there. Now we want to continue that process. In other words, at the street, what we find is most homeowners have started up around the house. That's the perfect place to begin. But can you get street plantings? Can you get more beds out here that really add to the effectiveness of flow, impact, and design? And I think you're going to find this planting bed that we place here at the sidewalk at street corner is going to help do that. You see the long stretch of sidewalk, a corner lot, a tree with some plants underneath is going to make all the difference in the world. So I'm going to begin with a line there. You notice the orange flags? We've come in there and marked our sprinkler heads prior to cutting out our sod so we can minimize on the the damage that we can do to them. If we do break a head or a sprinkler pipe, we fix and repair that. We may even make some sprinkler adjustments. This is one of the big smooth stretches that I can't wait to see develop. This is a street planting because the main entrance is behind you to the subdivision. Everyone comes up and sees this. So this bed with a tree is going to help complement and get us now moving inside the yard. It's going to help our eye just kind of float us through the middle. Let's place another bed down the walk. Now, I don't know if you noticed, the bed I just came from was what we call attached to the street. In other words, it started at the curb line and then came into the yard. There's two types of beds. One would be an island and one that might be firmly attached. And I'm going to really come in with two semicircles to make just one simplistic circular island that just encompasses both sides of the walk here. Hope you can see that. I mean, again, simplistic in design, but this could come and actually attach to the curb here. But I think the island is going to do what we want. It's going to solve the situation, and that is just to give us a visual break of this long stretch in the sidewalk. So when we get that cleaned out, it'll take on its initial impact, and then as we add plants to it, it'll only look better. If you notice further down the walk, the homeowner's property goes down around the curb there. And so they've added some lantana, some holly, and even the crepe myrtles are really pretty. They've done a nice job of really adding curb appeal for the whole neighborhood there. So we hope to complement those lines and ideas even more. I'm just checking some of the plants that we've transplanted here, relocated, the Indian hawthorn in particular. And I don't know if you can see a little gap in here, but no worries, right? We're gonna come in with some more hawthorn, some 3 gallons, fill it up right nicely. I want to talk a minute now about plant types, how many, because we've got about 9 different types or varieties of plants here. The sagos, the Aztec grass, tea olive. We even have some of the fountain grass, Burford holly, low juniper, the loropetalum, the border grass, and then a few other colorful varieties. Our goal here is to not get carried away with 28 types or 29, let's just use 9. In other words, we've got to find a way to repeat and utilize these same plant types and varieties again here. We don't want totally different plants out on our perimeters. We want to tie in the picture with repetition and really mimicking or taking some of these plants to some other areas to pull it all together. I'd like to take a moment now and just review a couple plant types that we used or introduced. They're new for us last time when we were here, and that is the stone-crop sedum, a beautiful bluish green color to the cast of the foliage, and then purple veins and stems really add a nice highlight or a different splash. And if you remember, I was showing how you could come in here when you're pruning or tipping back for shaping. And this is one plant that roots really easily by pulling off some of these bottom leaves. And in the warm season, you want to take almost all the leaves off, really. But you could come in here and place these right in your landscape. You could dip those in some rooting hormone and just fill in the spaces with time. So taking advantage of your clippings or cuttings again. And behind us here, the beautiful yellow daisy-like color for the melampodium. 6 to 8 inches is all this gets. It's tall. But what a beautiful splash with that gold or yellow daisy. One thing I like about it, they called full sun on the label. Friends, it's about 95, 97 degrees out here today, and you can see it's holding up really well under this heat. The homeowner does have irrigation, and that always helps as an insurance plan to your landscape, that it's going to be a protection for that investment here. Okay, looking good so far. Oh yeah. Well, the guys really had to cut most all of this out by hand. I'm just trying to get some of the dirt off of the curb. I kind of get to be the cleanup guy. I'm gonna let them work with some of the heavier stuff today, and I get to fine tune it. A water shut-off valve there, telephone box, a water hydrant, and another water meter, and a mailbox. That's 5 objects here we're using to soften and take the bed out and enclose it. We've got some cables and wires in here. We'll probably place a tree somewhere in this section to provide some height, and then just lower plants underneath. Let's start working our way down the curb and see how these beds are shaping up. Even this little bed here, it's neat because once it gets cleaned out, again, we're taking a corner, we're rounding this, but more importantly, the way this complements, like we're talking about, the other beds that we began. It's looking good. What do you think? Liking it, liking it. Yeah, it seems like every new bed added, if it's done with just consideration of your existing beds, should only make things look better. This bed is pretty big size because we're out here on the corner part of the yard in the big wide open area. There the yard gets kind of closer and tighter, so smaller curves are needed or all that's necessary. I just want to show you, around the house when I was a kid, we always used push brooms because we had to sweep the driveway or whatever. And my dad always showed me when you've got an area like this, instead of pushing this way, turn around, pushing back this way, you always start your first just like a brush stroke. Then you come back. Works you a little harder. Also makes it go a little faster. Now the guys are working on the last bed to clean out down there. As soon as we get that done, I think we're ready to place a few trees. Okay, even though the guys haven't cleaned out this bed all the way, I'm gonna set these trees up. This is a Drake elm. These are 7-galloners. And what I'm trying to do is bounce over the sidewalk with a tree over here. He doesn't have to go right up to the walk. We can kick him out just a little bit more. We'll kind of fine tune it and see how that looks. Until he gets up sizable enough to walk under it, it might appear a little bit odd because he's way out there on the end. Now I come toward you with our little triangle over here. Remember, one in the back, one about halfway up. Now I'm gonna jump the other side of the sidewalk here for this one. Maybe place him somewhere in there like that. Boom, boom, boom. That's what you've got to do. Instead of putting everything inside here with the bed and under planting, we want to pull a tree out also. Now, we've got one more that we placed at the mailbox that you can't see from here, but again, the visual tie-in is pretty evident. One thing I like to try to impress upon folks when they're planting trees, because they can really end up installing them too deep. I place all my soil on one side of the hole instead of all the way around it, so that I can see exactly where things are coming from, where they're leading to, you know what I mean? Okay, this is a 7-gallon elm tree, and I had a feeling he was well rooted in there, really tight. These roots could stand a little bit of slicing so that they'll branch out. Right now, the roots are growing in a circle. So, a couple places, I'll roll him. 3 to 4 areas around here. Now this is root pruning. Is it damaging the tree? Well, certainly not. But now, these roots will have the opportunity to branch out and start to spread to establish themselves. What's the purpose of a root system? Well, not only just to obtain water and nutrients up back and forth through the tree, but also to anchor the tree to the ground. You see that these are top heavy. I mean, they're blowing over because there's not enough root mass to contain the head on it. Now we could trim the head back, prune that a little bit. We may have to stake them, but we want these guys to get well rooted. I'm just going to tilt him up first, just so he'll stand. I don't have to worry about planting the root ball exactly straight or perfect. I want to pay more attention to the trunk character. Now when I get some subsoil around there, I want to stand him as straight as possible. And I like to pack in with my heel, because I know I can get a little more pressure on him that way. Not too bad. The best side is not facing you, that's the neighbor's. Here's a homeowner's view. I'll also add some slow release fertilizer. Be generous with that. No need in being stingy. Fertilizer. This is slow release, so it won't burn. Nothing to it. So let's talk about plants. We'll deal firstly with one of our staples, and that's the Aztec grass. We've only used it in one part of the landscape previously, and that was right here at the front corner of the house. And I feel the need where I can come in here. I want to try to use the triangular concept when I use some of these other, not just trees, but even flowering or foliage colors. So this may seem like it's a little too close, Aztec to Aztec. But what we'll do with the Loropetalum, the razzleberry, we'll bring that in between here to separate and really pull us apart from this Aztec. So let's think about this triangle. 1, 2 Aztec, and some more over by the mailbox on the other side of the driveway. Plant selection over here includes fashion azalea. We've tipped back nice and round to kind of help conceal the fire hydrant. We don't want to cover it. We want to just kind of work on it a little bit. Then I've used African iris down here at the mailbox. It always works. But our application is really for the Aztec grass that we talked about in some other areas. Now, we're setting that up, so take a look and see how the Aztec with the razzleberry at the street even looks. And so, again, working in triangles. 1, 2, 3, the application of it here. It works. Now, I want you to hang with us, if you will, because when we return, we're going to be on our 4th and final segment. Before and afters, they're going to look good. Okay, a little last minute bed prep. Got a little bit of grass clippings in there we can come get out, but I think I know what we want to do here close to you. If you can see the border grass, Liriope muscari, on this grass line, the curve that we did previously, and then the melampodium, the little yellow daisy flower, those are the two we want to use out here. I mean, it would be logical to extend the same thought process of plant variety, and so in comes the border grass. I want to stay right at the grass line here for a compliment. As you go back and look at that again, I just love the light yellow daisy flower with this dark green border grass. Dependable, full sun to full shade. Now, we do have to apologize because we're running short of the melampodium right now. You'll get to see it when we get completed, but basically, friends, this could be planted 3 months, 3 years, or in this case, a day later than the initial installation or bed. But since these are planted so close together in time, well, they'll look more similar starting with the same plant sizes, if you know what I mean, because they'll all mature together then. But again, phase 1, phase 2. Wouldn't you agree, when you see the before and afters, I hope you'll agree, just one big extension here. Okay, our final bed for today. We wish we had time to take you to install every single plant, but since we don't, we've got to abbreviate things. In our circular bed here, the application of low plant material is the stress point. The tree is going to provide height, a hangover canopy that friends will walk under when they come down the sidewalk. But I think these two colors work fine together, the bluish purple of the stone crop sedum and just regular, nice, green, dependable border grass again. We've got to go get a few more of these, but I think you get the picture. A little bit of fine tuning here, and they'll be ready to install. just like you, when we complete a project, we like to hang out and enjoy it. I'll see you on the next Designer's Landscape. I'm Gary Allen. So long.